Today you're making a snow scene landscape. Each table is going to have all these supplies. You have the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. You also have white. And your table will have 2 big brushes and 4 skinny brushes. So the big brushes are to share, and each person gets their own skinny brush. So to begin, one person's going to start with blue and one with orange, and then you're going to pass them around the table because the background should be very fast. So we've got to do some mixing. Start with the orange mixing. To make orange, you need yellow and red. You need a lot more yellow than red because yellow is a weaker color than red. So I'm going to take a little dot, look at that little dot of red, and mix it in with the yellow. Look how quickly that becomes orange. That's kind of like this orange. So we're making a winter snow scene with like a sun setting happening. The bright white circle is the sun coming down, and that's the sunset sky. So you decide exactly how yellow or orange you want your yellow orange. You can add a little bit of water if it feels thick or stiff. This plate is going to get thrown away at the end of your class. These are going to be used by everybody all week. So you can mess up the plate. Please do not mess these up. So I'm going to put this big diagonal stripe of my yellow orange. So it's not going straight across, it's at an angle up to the right side, a diagonal. And then I would pass my brush to the next person at the table so they can make their diagonal stripe of orange. Now I'm mixing up small amounts, it's just me at the moment, but you can mix up a little bit bigger of an amount when it's your whole table you're planning for. A tiny dot of blue, just like the yellow is weak, the white is weak. I don't need much blue. Tiny dot, quickly turned my white to a nice soft blue. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more white. And then just like I did the big brush strokes and really fast on my yellow orange, I'm gonna be really fast on my light blue. So we're setting the background for this little painting. This painting is 4 inches by 4 inches. See how I can tell it's getting dry. I'm seeing the canvas texture show through, so I just added a tiny bit of water. All right, so this is softer than either of these. You might decide you want it not quite so soft. I wouldn't go too dark though. That would be pretty dark. So when you add white to a color, you're making a tint. Any color plus white is a tint. So this is a tint of blue. Okay. I'm gonna leave mine like that. So you're passing these 2 around and everybody is making their background. Once you have your background, you'll each use one of the smaller brushes. Now, you can mix your own green or y'all can mix it together and share. So you, to make green, are gonna need some yellow and some blue. And again, yellow is a kind of a weaker, softer color. You don't need as much blue as you do yellow. So I've got a pretty good standard green here, but I need an evergreen for my evergreen tree. So I'm actually gonna add the complement to green. So straight across the color wheel from green is red. So a little bit of red is gonna deepen my green. That might've been too much red. So if I have too much red, I'm gonna get some more yellow and blue. Remember, it's okay to mess up this plate because I'm throwing it away at the end of your class. However, it would be rude for one person to mess up the whole plate. Like, work together as a team. Communicate about what colors are needed, how much is needed, who's gonna mix which colors. Okay, so once you're happy with your green, you're going to make 2 trees, 1 on each side. There's 2 ways you can do this. You could do it just with straight lines to lay them out nice and tall. So if I start with a straight line, the next thing I would do is a little V at the top, an upside down V. And then I keep making upside down V's that get slowly a little bit bigger. The general shape of a evergreen tree is a triangle. They're generally skinnier at the top, wider at the bottom. So I'm just making these V's, maybe curling them out a bit, all the way down until I hit what's gonna be my ground. And then I can fluff it down or just do a line across, whatever. The other way to do this is to start with a triangle. So loosely paint a triangle to mark off where you want your tree. I either need more paint or more water. It's getting dry. And after you've made your triangle, you can come in and do your little upside down V's. I'm gonna have to make a little bit more green. You definitely don't want to overdo it with water. But if you need to make your paint last a little longer, spread a little further, you can get a tiny bit of water on your brush and mix it in. Too much water is going to make a mess. And then you can go back over if you want more variation in your green, like if I wanted to make that a little bit darker and add some more dashes in to give my tree a little bit of depth or texture, you can do that. All right, so I did the background, I did my 2 trees. Next up is snow. So you've got to clean the green out really good. So I'm doing this in the water, sort of spinning it in circles, and then I'll wipe. We're not tapping. Tapping makes unnecessary noise and splatters our neighbor, potentially. So swirling and wiping, you can test it on your fingers. I still see some green in there. Okay, I think that's pretty clean. So now I'm gonna use white, but I'm not gonna dip into here. If you need more white, scoop it out, put it on your plate. All right, I wanna be careful of my green trees because they're still wet and it'll smear the green. So I'm gonna try to get some white in between my blue and yellow orange to make it look like a wispy, snowy sky. I'm being careful not to touch the tree. Some wispy snow here. And down here. And my circle to show my bright setting sun. The sun is so bright that it is gonna show up as white. And then snowflakes, so snow that is falling from the sky. So to do that, I'm just gonna very carefully, because they can get big and clumpy really quick, very carefully little taps. Paint on my brush and I'm just tapping the tip. I'm still avoiding my trees. I can tell that my trees are still pretty wet, and I can tell because they're shinier than my blue and my yellow and orange. When your paint starts to lose some of its shine, it's dried some. So I'm doing everything else I can while avoiding my trees. This is a good time to remind you not to make any of your paint really thick. We're trying to do this all at once, so we don't have time to let it dry overnight or anything. If we make it thin enough, the paint should dry quick enough that we can paint on top of it within the same class period. Okay. So I'm letting my snow cover everything because I'll see the texture of the dots. So even though this is all the way white, I'm gonna put some dots on top of it. I'll still be able to tell there's snow falling there. Okay. This might still be a little wet, but I'm gonna give this a try. So if I get some paint all the way up the side of my brush, I'm gonna kind of dab it along starting at the top. So think about snow falling from the sky. It's going to land on the top of the branches. So you're kind of doing like a little wiggle as if it's just landed softly on some of the branches. My branches are going at an angle. They're heavy with the snow, so they're weighted down. I'm imagining what it would be like to actually see a tree in a winter snowstorm covered in snow. So kind of choppy, wiggly lines to try to give it the look of snow that has fallen and wind that has sort of blown it around. And once I get some on each of the branches, then I'll go back over those with dots of snowflakes as well. Now, I have gotten some green all over this because it wasn't dry yet, and that's okay. I'm gonna just wash my brush again. And if I want new paint to use, new white paint, remember I'm not gonna take it from here. I'm gonna use my scoop, and put some fresh paint on my plate. All right, so now I want more dots. So I'm gonna get some on my brush and do some snow dots on top of the tree. I want this whole thing to be like a big blizzard, so I am just putting dots everywhere. And it's still wet, but if I'm careful and I just gently tap it on and lift back up, it's not smearing too much. A little bit of the green is coming into it, but it looks good. So you would just keep doing that until you feel like you have enough snow. And you can go back even after you've done the background. If you want more in the background, you can. Just be careful because it might have a little bit of green in it. Those pieces are having some green show. So I'm gonna wash my brush again, wipe it again, try to scoop in some fresh white, cover up those green flecks. Okay. Have fun making your winter landscape.